I've never talked to you guys about money before, like personal finances and like your situations. I've talked to a few of our other friends, but I was like, I haven't talked to Sean and Al about money topics. So I'm curious. It's more of like a personal curiosity. Plus, I want to know how you guys handle things with having significant others. That makes sense. Because me, I'm just like, oh, I handle my money by myself. Like, who do I ask how much I'm going to spend on this?
Right.
Is me.
A lot easier.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like the dynamics and stuff that you guys have with your wives. Okay. So first, I don't want to say specific incomes. Okay. But can we say that you guys make at least 6 figures?
Yeah.
Okay. Same here. Right. So
I know he does too.
Right. Yeah. I know you. Yeah. Because you guys own a business. So we'll set that ground so everybody knows. We at least make 6 figures.
Right.
The low end, at least $100,000 a year. Okay. So let me ask both of you, what is your like relationship when it comes to money? So when you think about it, does it make you stressed? Does it make you like happy? Do you get like a bad feeling or?
Kind of neutral.
Okay.
It's just kind of like if I had less, I always go back to like college years, and it always cracks me up when we made like $150 a week and we survived. It's like I'm like, okay, now like you exponentially make more and more and more. You just find a way to use it. So it's like no matter what, if I make more or less, I think it's just like, all right. You can enjoy more things. You can go on more vacations. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like I had a ton of fun when I was broke as heck.
Mm-hmm.
You just like so whatever your means are.
Yeah.
I feel like I would still find like in terms of lifestyle, I like to golf. I like to do this stuff. So the more expensive things, like the more money I make, like I'll just like gamble it away.
Yeah.
I love to gamble, but it's like I think I would have just as much fun with having $5 right on something as I do $500. It's just kind of like whatever to me.
Okay.
So it's probably not the best mindset to have,
Yeah.
but
And the extra
it's
money,
kind of
you
like
just gamble it.
And half the time, especially with inflation and whatnot anymore, I'm like, what is money anyway?
But you don't get
Like I'm like, let's go back to the barter
because
system.
some people it stresses them out. Like even just talking or thinking about money, it stresses them the
That
heck
is
out.
very true.
So you guys you're not like
My
that
wife
either.
is like that, but no, I mean when I let's just say 10 years ago, when I still had a kid. I have 3 now. I had 1 then. In that ballpark kind of range in my life, money was stressful. I had $1,000 a month in student loans. I don't have any debt anymore. At that point, it was very stressful. Now I look at money as like almost like as long as I don't worry about paying everything very easily, and I always have money to do whatever I want. I just look at it as a neutral for me too.
Yeah.
I'm like I don't have like a love hate. I don't have anything with it. It's just like it's a vehicle for me to do what I want, and for me to have like support my family and let them do what they want and their interests. And as long as we can do whatever we want, pretty much whenever we want,
that's a win. So yeah, because I think we kind of got lucky because none of our friends are super flashy that we grew up with. So
Have you ever met Pat Fogarty?
well,
No, I'm joking.
yes,
We were
but-
just talking the other day about that. Like, even back then, if you remember him, he had like that $500 a month, which was unheard of, like Mustang. And like, he could barely, like, month 1, he was struggling to pay it. But it was like funny and it was like awesome. But he just made ends meet and he drove around a kick ass car when we were in school.
But not many other friends really were like that though. Like nobody really buys Rolexes or expensive stuff like that.
No.
So.
And I think that's probably somewhat in a culture of where we live. I do think you go to like Miami, New York, you go to some of these cities where it's like, there's more money and therefore there's more, competition amongst people. You'll see people like doing that way more, the flossing thing.
Yeah.
Pressure to
changes a
fit
lot.
in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you got a lot more people just buying fancy shit.
Yeah.
Homes, what have you. We're in Ohio. Like I feel like there's just that isn't a thing. I mean, it's a thing, but it's not nearly as much.
Quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Fully Loaded Tobacco-Free Chew. Check out the description of this video or the show notes to get 20% off your next order.
Yeah, we almost had that like balance, if you remember, like us growing up, which is like impressionable years where it kind of like sets the foundation with how you're gonna like look at material things. Like we were the opposite. You remember, like we would go to Goodwill and whatnot, like thrift stores to buy our clothes. We thought it was cool to almost like look broke.
Yes.
Like,
If something
can
costs
I
$1
find a shirt for 30 cents?
Yeah, because if it cost $1, that was way too expensive.
Yeah.
And you were pissed. You're like,
Right.
I'm not getting this.
I would take the stickers. There was like red 50% off stickers. I would actually move them from like one shirt to another. And we're talking like an 80-cent shirt that I got for 40 cents.
Sometimes it would get you too. They eventually started getting on.
Yeah, I think so.
You could get away with it for
You
quite
wore
a
that
while.
like Three Musketeers shirt like every other day for like
Great
5
shirt.
years.
Yeah, it was a great shirt. And yeah, you figure I got so much run on like a 48-cent shirt.
Yeah, no, that's we were different though in that respect, because you look at same like groups of guys, like whatever, like what was the popular like Hollister or Abercrombie or whatever those stores were, like if you were to get caught up on that, like you could. I mean, those were like the same sort of material, but you're paying like $50 a shirt.
Yeah, clothes are the ultimate like status symbol, but on the other side of the coin, they're almost useless. I mean, you're talking like, especially when you're talking about like T-shirts and things. I mean, it's literally someone else putting a different label on it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, they're useful if you're going ice fishing or something. I've learned that.
Yeah, you want warm clothes. Yeah, you need some technology.
Yeah, because even the Hollister stuff, when we were younger, we actually had friends that worked at Abercrombie and Hollister.
I was gonna go there, but
okay, okay, never mind. We won't bring that up. We'll pass on it.
Statute of limitations has passed.
Let's still pass on that for now. Okay,
like
but
20 years ago now, 22 years ago, whatever.
The next question, it has to do with like you and your significant others and money. So, do you guys have shared bank accounts or separate? Now, your wife doesn't work; she's a stay-at-home mom. Your wife
works.
does work. Who?
Yeah,
Chrissy does?
Yeah, she's a part-time employee.
Oh,
yes.
nice. Okay, so
but I mean, yeah, for our business. But
sorry, I don't know.
yeah. So yes, to answer that question, yes, we absolutely have
Shared?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have really since the beginning of our relationship is when we got married. Once you have kids, it's kind of like it would almost make no sense to not.
Yeah.
I mean, you're basically just we're on the same team. You know what I mean? So that yeah, we have, and I think we would. I don't really care one way or the other. Like I'm gonna pay whether she has access or not. So it's kind of like whatever, particularly in our scenario. But I mean, I think you don't, right?
No, we still have split
Separate.
Yeah, accounts. She works full time. She does well. It's one of those things like I need to. We've had conversations about it, especially since we have a little one coming on the way. I think as wild as I can be with money, I actually think I'm much better. So yeah, it's still split to this point. I think even last year when we filed for taxes, it was separate because there's some benefits if you're filed joint versus separate in certain scenarios. And last year it made more sense talking to the accountant to just still do it separately. But yeah, we still have separate bank accounts. So in terms of like my situation, it's like all bills, mortgage, utilities, the little stuff like internet, TV, all of that stuff comes out of my account. And then when it comes to house projects, we try to just ping her account.
Okay, so that's how you have it split up when it comes to like paying stuff.
Yeah, because you know, you do something around the house, it could be like, oh, this is gonna be $6,000. All right, well, that's coming out of your account.
Yeah. Okay. So then you don't know you don't know the types of things she spends money on, and vice versa.
Yeah, if you
Or do
were
you guys-
married and like every day there's probably 3 or 4 Amazon packages coming to the door.
Okay.
Like groceries and that stuff. Like I can't even tell you, like I was golfing with one of our buddies yesterday and he was talking about going to Sam's Club and like how like stocks up at once and it's like $500. It's like, geez, man. I'm like, God, yeah, that's true. Like we're just like a la carte almost. It's like every couple of days we got more groceries coming to the house, but it's like $50 at a time sort of thing, like based on what you need at that particular moment. So yeah, all that stuff, that's kind of like my situation and how we try to manage it.
Okay. Now, next question is, you got married younger. You were one of our first friends that like got married. So this might be a little
26.
different for you guys, but you got married when we were a little bit older. So were you guys and your wives on the same page when it comes to money? Or did you like talk about money before you got married? Or because I know some couples, they don't talk about it. And then once they start living together and seeing how each other spends, they get in huge fights and it just destroys their relationships. So did you guys happen to have any kind of like money conversations with your significant others?
Not particularly before we got married, and we definitely have different views on it. You know, like I think it's probably just some of how you were raised. But no, like she's way more frivolous with money than I am. I'm pretty tight. And yeah, it definitely would cause fights when it was tighter on money. Now it doesn't as much, just because I've basically thrown in the towel.
Okay, so you've got to like you've just
I've given up.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've gotten to a point where it's essentially like I just have to out-earn her spending
Oh God,
Yeah.
that's we'll get into that in a
Yeah.
minute. But okay,
Yeah,
holy
it's
smokes.
great.
Okay, we'll get into that in a
That's a
minute.
good little competition. Like, it's like, all right, I'm staying.
Yeah. Where can you hide your money today?
Oh, okay. So, what about you, Sean?
All right, what was the question again? It's more or less like, did you discuss spending?
Yeah,
and
or like money in general. Like, hey, what are your views on money? Here are my views.
So it was kind of like an ever evolving. Early on in a relationship, it's not like something you jump into right away, and then you start to just understand, like, do you have student loans? Do you have credit card debt? Like you're sort of spending. Meg is one of those big people that likes to obviously enjoy life, and it's if you were to say would you rather be 70 years old and have $1 million in the bank or have nothing in the bank and but have all the fun you want? And go on vacation? It would definitely be the latter.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely. But it was through engagement and then early marriage, really got into the weeds on where exactly do you sit? Do you have student loan debt? Do you have this? Do you have that? But it took some time, and when it certainly wasn't a thing that I knew everything right away. And then now that it's uncovered everything, it's okay, get this cleaned up and educate, because some people don't think about hey, if I invest this money, I can earn whatever ROI in terms of interest, but I'm also paying this sort of interest on this, and what outweighs what. Sometimes if you have debt that you're paying whatever 18%, but you find a way to make 25%, it's well, paying off that debt actually doesn't make sense because I can actually earn more here. That's usually not the case though, obviously, but just understanding that balance, and it's where can you earn and where sometimes it taking out some debt, paying a certain level of interest, if you know you can make more, it'll make sense. But going through those sorts of scenarios, it was an education process for. So yeah, we finally got there.
Okay, so you said that she's the type of person that would be hey, I'm happy with having nothing at the end, but being able to enjoy myself on the way up. How are you when it comes to money then? Are you hey, I want to be able to have X amount of dollars and to not have fun on the way, or a little bit balance of both? I'm gonna ask you the same question in a minute.
It's probably more the fun but balance of both.
Okay.
Nothing's worse some of the points that Al made early on about thinking money's not a big deal until you don't have any.
Until it
obviously.
is.
Yeah, it's when you're shit, I'm struggling to make this bill or whatever it might be. My scenario, one that every one of our friends kind of went through, because we were all lucky enough to be privileged enough to go to a school and go to university and then ultimately have some student loan debt, something like that. It was I could not wait to get rid of that debt. It was as soon as I got a bonus check at my first career, and it was just it's all going to that, and I was able to pay it off whatever by the age of 27. It was flex time. It's cool to get rid of that debt. So in that respect, I like to push that down. Even on my house, it's as fast as I can accelerate it and drive it down, throw an extra $500 at the principal every time you can. But at the same time, it's okay, I did good there, pat on the back. Now let's go to the casino and take out $2,000 and have fun.
We'll get to that we'll get to your gambling in a minute. Okay, what about you? Because it sounds like your wife is his.
Yeah,
where it's
way more.
Spend. I'm not thinking about how much I have in retire or save
I'm
for retirement.
Very much the other way.
Okay, so you did grow up, or when we were younger, growing up, you were known to be the cheapest of our friends.
I've improved some.
Yeah.
But I'm still pretty good.
Yeah, I remember. Gosh, there was some purchase you guys made, and I was oh my gosh, I'll let that happen. And I was that's not like him.
Yeah, I am really tight.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. If I lived alone, it would be. Yeah,
I don't have
yeah,
much.
my house would look like yours. Yeah, 100%.
I've had this girl make a comment. It's just a friend. She's always trying to hook me up with other girls, and she told one girl she was trying to hook me up with. She's just so you know, he's not rich. He's pretty poor. And I was oh my God,
it is funny.
That's awesome. I loved that,
right.
Because I was I don't want people to be able to see how I live and know how much money I have.
Agreed.
I actually want it flipped.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I was this is so awesome.
Yeah.
She thinks I'm poor.
Yeah.
But that probably is not my dating. But it's okay.
It doesn't help the dating, I suppose.
But I think of it as
chick. I don't think they're searching for poor guys. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm very, very tight with money, and yeah, being married to someone who was not
a spender.
I've probably met a little in the middle, but not a lot.
Okay, so then do either of you guys talk with your wives about your finances on a regular basis? So some couples do it once a week, some do it once a month to say, hey, let's get together, here's where we're at, and here's kind of where we're going.
Probably once every 6 months. I handle all of it.
Yeah.
So, frankly, she just doesn't know anything about it, and it's just something that I do. So, no, not really. I mainly try and keep her in the dark. I try and make her think we're poor. That's actually the goal. The goal at the end of the day is like, hey, I don't know if we're gonna make it through the year. You're gonna have to really cut back. It's just me hiding money everywhere. If I die, she's gonna be in a little bit of trouble because I got money squirreled away everywhere. So, I have the passwords written down. So, in the event of my death, she'll be able to get it. But
all right, what about you, Sean?
How often we talk?
Do you guys talk at all, or is it not like a set schedule, or?
Yeah, no, not necessarily. We always have some we've been married for 2 years and 3 months now, so there's the wedding to plan for, which is whatever, we'll call it $10,000, and there's house projects that are and then we got a baby on the way, so it's now we're preparing for that. So there's always something that's okay, we got to plan for this, all right, we're gonna drop 10-15,000 on this, we're gonna drop 10-15,000 on this, so so we got a budget for it. So it's more planning for projects and things on the horizon that are kind of milestone-ish versus where you at for your retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So in that respect, it's a little different, but it's talking money in a way that's more about the next year versus hey, what's your plan when you're 63?
Okay. All right. Now I want to move into some debt talk. So do you guys have any debts?
my house.
Just your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, house, and then I use credit cards, but the goal is obviously to just churn and.
Yeah. I have credit cards, but they're all in auto pay.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Do you guys, with your credit cards, do you have them paid off at the end of every month?
Yeah.
You carry a zero balance?
The only reason I
have
have a credit card is to get the points. It's an auto pay full amount every date that it's due.
Okay. Sean, what about you?
Yeah, no, I actually have 3 credit cards. 2 kind of I don't really use, and then my Discover's the one that, if there's something big coming up, like, hey, I'm doing this $6,000-$7,000 project, and it's like, put it on there. I might not pay it off all at once, but yeah, every 90 days it's paid off.
Okay. Guys, you're carrying a balance, so you're paying
Sometimes.
interest.
Yeah.
Sean, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. Oh, Sean, that's so effing. You're paying 20%. Don't do that.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, though. So it's like, what if you had something coming up? Well, I mean, unless you always have, obviously, the cash available. So if you do something for like $15,000 and it's like, okay, I could just go ahead and like write a check for it, or like I like to have like whatever situation in a bank account or a savings account. I'd hate having money in my checking account. So
Really?
It's like, yeah, like I got robbed once, like fraud, where like I lost like a little over $20,000, and it just scarred me.
Oh, geez.
And I had to go through that whole process. So I try to keep, literally, if like we do something, if my account gets over $5,000, I get real weird. And it's like, okay, where can I move this money to?
Oh, my God.
Keep it out of
Jesus.
a checking account. I hate having money sitting in my checking account.
Whoa.
I have like all my money's in
So probably as much as like the idea of day 31 coming and being like, oh my gosh, like there's $2,000 sitting on that credit card and I'm going to be locked into this 18% rate right now, starting right now on this day one. That's why I am like when my checking account. Like if we do like any sort of distribution or whatnot, 24 hours later, the money's gone.
Oh my God. You really
I
were
move it
scarred.
so, yeah. But no, obviously it's stupid to ever pay interest on anything. But yeah, if something's popping around, I'll let it go for 30 days.
So
It's
then
like, whatever.
you just made the comment that, well, why wouldn't I charge it? Because if I don't have the money to pay for it, then I'll just charge it and pay the interest on that credit card. So you don't have the thought process of, if I don't have the money, I can't spend it?
Wait, what was that again?
You said that you carry a balance because, say, something costs $15,000 and you don't have it in cash. You just charge it and then
Okay.
pay it off over a couple months. That's what you said.
Yeah, it's more like people's mindset with money. Like if it's like, God, I got to take this out of savings, or I got to move it from here to here, versus like, okay, it's going to cost me $200 if I don't have it in my checking account right now. If I have a $15,000 balance because I just decided to spend something, it's like, all right, I'm going to pay 9 of it right now, and then in the next 30 to 60 days, I'll pay the other 6. I'm like, okay, it's $200-$300, but I don't have to move anything around. Like,
So
okay, it's kind of burning $200-$300 versus fees, but whatever.
So
it's not
you
worth
would
it.
have the cash to pay that full balance off, but you just don't move the money?
Oh yeah, sometimes.
Sean, you're going to make me break this microphone. That's insane.
Well, it's kind of like my house situation. Let's just say you owe $100,000 on your house, and you have $100,000. And like it's
Yeah.
like,
But the
are you a
interest rate on
psycho?
a house versus a credit card are two different animals.
No, if you do the math on your, because I drive myself crazy too there, and that's why I try to put as much as I can towards principal. It's like, man, let's just say you buy a $100,000 house and you extrapolate your interest over the course of like your 30-year loan. It's
a
like,
lot of
man,
money.
I'm paying $300,000 for this $100,000 house. So it's the same mindset where it's like, man, just look at your mortgage payment every single month. Let's just say it's $1,000. I bet you it's like $500 and then $500, and it's like, oh my God, I've been doing this for this long, and like, I've only put this more in a dent into it. So it's like, why won't you take it all out of savings and pay off your house right away with the same mentality? So I look at it the same way. It's like, okay, wait a minute. You're going to carry a $5,000 credit card balance for a month and pay $200. But at the same time, like, you could have like accelerated your mortgage and like you could have just paid down that principal. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul in some scenarios. So I try to keep a balance. That's my side. I'm not saying it's correct, but it's always that game of like, where should it be? Where should it be? It's a shell game. And then if I can figure it out to like lower it, like.
Well, they always say balance is on the credit card is where the smart money is.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, like whatever. Like it's one of those things like
but that's
30, 60 days. It's like whatever. If you were to like carry a credit card balance and live off a credit card, then it's like, oh my gosh, you're limited. If I'm gonna lose $100 or $200 to take a float for a second while I play my shell game, it's like whatever. I blow $100, $200 on stuff all the freaking time. I'm not gonna stress about it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not.
Well, and but you know it's irrational because it would be smart to pay the highest interest.
Going gambling is irrational.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. So, and that's very normal. Is people do stuff that are that's extremely irrational, but they're not willing to admit it. You're at least willing to admit, yeah, this probably isn't the best financial move.
Well, I think most people, credit cards is the most well-known thing that is kind of like idiotic, and that's why you guys immediately got excited about it. It's like whatever. But if you like actually talk about something different, like in their lifestyle, it's like, oh, okay, that's not as big of a deal. But I'm like, I can identify $500,000 mistakes that people make all the time. But we're just like, oh, those are brushed under the rug. But everyone knows about credit card interest rates. So yeah, it's dumb. But if it makes sense for a 30, 60-day period, I think it's fine. Some people would be like, like you guys did. It's like, whatever to me. I don't care.
Okay. So then do either of you guys have emergency funds, like money that's set aside specifically for emergencies?
Yeah.
That's a no. Yeah.
I mean, well,
it's a yes or a no.
Well, I mean, I guess not, but I have money in a bunch of places that I can access like that.
Okay.
And I have like stashes of cash.
That's crazy. What do you mean you have stashes of cash? Like not physical cash, but in like different accounts?
Oh no, I mean physical cash.
You're like those people from the Great Depression. Where
Yeah,
they
I almost
wouldn't
am.
use savings accounts, and they just. I remember I dated a girl, and when her grandpa passed away, her and her parents found all kinds of cash just stashed away in the house, like in walls and under
My
floorboards.
grandpa had the same situation. In his garage, they found like $20,000 in cash once he died. Yeah, I don't have quite that much, but yeah, I got cash stashed.
Wow.
Yeah, in the event that like anything happens, I'm like a prepper.
Yeah, but if you think about it, if something happens, like what you're probably referring to,
Guns are more valuable.
yes, like the paper
I'll just shoot people
or the
and take
gold
their
that
cash.
people say that you need, like guess what? If you come to me, I'm not taking your freaking gold. I'm not taking your paper
No, we're going
money.
food and bullets.
Yes, can you help me survive? Me
Yeah.
and my people survive. Okay, you're in. If not, okay.
Food and bullets.
Speaking of that, I have a good story. My grandfather, who unfortunately passed away like 6-7 years ago, he was blue collar. Like he served. He worked at Ford Company. Like never, like they weren't well off. They lived in Cuyahoga Falls. Had 6 kids. He was able to accumulate, I think it was $88,000 in cash when he passed away. When we were going through all this stuff in my grandparents' house, like it would be like in shoe boxes, like coats in his closet. He would have like $5,000-$6,000 cash. Like he just had it stashed away because he was like obviously again through the Great Depression. He was trained to kind of like not trust banks and that what. I'm like. The equivalent, like then, I was like, we're going on 10 years ago. I'm like, it would be like stashing away like $1 million for us right now in cash. I'm like, geez almighty. But at the same time, I'm like, God, to not trust the banks that much. All it would take is one freak accident in your house, it would burn down, and all of it goes up in flames.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God.
I have mine in fireproof safes. But yeah, I totally agree. And it's not that smart when you think.
Yeah, just press the down button like just once.
When you
real
think
quick.
about it.
One more time. Okay, that should be good.
Yeah, it's not a good way to do it, but
Okay, so then, do you guys manage your spending on a monthly basis? So, for example, I know how I like do a monthly budget. I know where my money's going every single month. Do you guys do anything like that at all?
Yeah. I try.
Okay, then that's a no. That's a
Well,
that's a
here's
no.
the thing. For me, it's easy.
Yeah.
I don't spend any money. You know.
But it's not just you spending.
Correct.
That's what I mean. So it's a no.
3 kids are an animal to handle. But yes, there is a technical budget, and usually when they're not accountable to said budget,
Who's they?
I
Your
will say
kids?
something.
You
The
mean
kids
your
and the wife. Yeah,
Okay,
I
your,
mean,
well, your kids.
they're basically just out there. Like I always laugh, like when I'm like we have a guy who works for us who gets all this money pulled for child support, and I'm like, I kind of wish they just would do that to me. You know, like not in a bad way, but like it would almost be like, here, like this is your
You
money.
take it and you
then,
do.
like you take 50%, but like you don't know how to have any else. I'd actually save a lot of money. I always laugh because like he'll be like, God, he gets so much money taken out of him.
What
Like,
if-
too much money percentage of mine goes to my children?
What if you did do that? Like have a separate account for your wife and say, hey, I'm going to put X amount of dollars in here every month. That's what you have to spend on.
It's kind of the deal. I've actually thought, I've actually considered like legitimately taking cash out and handing her cash.
yeah.
Because there is a thing with when you don't have physical money,
Yep.
the cards, it's just play money.
Yeah.
It's just a number in the bank. When you go spend $400 and you just hand somebody $400, it's a total different feeling than charging $400. Like it's like, oh shit, like this is actual money.
Yeah, like, I don't want to spend this extra $20.
Yeah,
So
like,
I got to hand this.
dude, this is a lot of dough. Yeah. That's why I like to do a lot of the stuff in cash just to kind of remind your brain, like, hey, dude, this is like real money. It's not pretend when you just swipe it.
Yeah.
Typing in $500 on the Cavs versus handing like the sportsbook teller $500 cash.
Right.
It's a big difference.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to go $500. All right, let's go. Versus like, oh my
I just
gosh.
think people they don't think about it. They just go out and they're like, well, this is what it costs. Things are more expensive, and it's like, dude, you could do it better.
What about you? Do you like?
Honestly, I don't really think about it. If you're talking about, because like a lot of aspects of my life, I'm like, I like to like take notes and like do spreadsheets and whatnot. When it comes to that stuff, because most of it's like ledger based, like regardless what sort of account you have, you can kind of see your transactions. It's kind of like, okay, all right, yep, I know on this date this comes out, on this date this comes out, on this date this comes out. Like, are we good? Like, yeah, okay, money's there. Okay, move money out. As long, like I said, I'm weird. So I only
Money
like,
out.
I only
At the
like.
end of the day, the goal is get the money out.
Honestly, it's so weird. Like, yeah, it's like there's a number. Let's just use a round number, like $5,000. Like, I know that covers everything for the next like 30 days. If it's above that, like, it's like, okay, why you have it in there? It's dumb. It's gone. But no, in terms
Where do
of
you
like
take it? Where do you put it?
other places, but in terms of like documenting, like, hey, this is what you're allowed for food. This is what you're allowed for going out to eat. This is like what your gas should look like. This is what any other expenditures should look like. Obviously, you got your mortgage, utilities. Like if you have any other like I used to do that, but I really don't anymore at all.
Okay, so you have, it sounds like you have a rough idea of how much you spend every month, right? So then, how often would you say that you go over that amount to where you're like, oh, I got to move some cash from another account?
Never.
Okay, so you
Never.
stay under
Yeah.
what that mental number is
Yeah.
for you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because
Never.
you don't have to have. I always tell people you don't have to have like budgets and stuff like that. I do because I'm a freaking weirdo. But some people can do it without having one.
I think if you're doing it for yourself, I think that's a more attainable goal. With me, it's just there's so many goddamn variables.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like legitimate. I have, for instance, like April's a bad month. I know because I got 2 girls born in April. So it's
birthdays.
like, oh god, their birthdays are like, it's a goddamn celebration.
Yeah.
The whole month. So it's like I know that I'm gonna have to pay for 2 parties and pay for presents. Like, dude, I'll spend $1,500 more in April than I did in March.
You're the problem. Like, you're why I date women who think their birthday is like the whole month. It's all because of people like
This has
you.
nothing to do with me. I'm along for the ride.
So do you guys have a set amount of, hey, we're gonna spend X amount of dollars on like birthday
Yeah,
stuff
I
for
do.
each kid? Okay. So the answer is no. The answer is no.
Yeah, no. This is the thing.
And that's fine, but
Then no.
Okay,
But
the
the
answer is
answer is yes, I would like that. But there's a fork in that road, man. And if I don't, I can either be happy or I can spend an extra few K a year on nonsense and I'll like pretend like it's a big deal. So it's one of those things. I think that yes, you're correct. The older I get, and the more that I've just had to compromise a lot with that stuff, I still control it, so I can control where the investments go and that kind of stuff and where the money goes. But
oh, you gotta press the down button. keep going all the way down. Press like the 1 button, I think, or 1 or 2 button.
All right,
It has a preset amount. Go down just a little bit more. Down a little. Okay, we're good.
I need to stop moving around.
What I'm saying is, it's no longer me deciding. It's not a dictatorship, right? It's a democracy at this point. I have to give a little, and I'm sure that my wife and kids would love to spend way more money than they do. So I'm the kind of reins that hold them back. But yeah, there's an absolute. And the other thing is, when you it's 3 kids, the other reality is, like, I want to do stuff with them. I want to, make them have experiences and things like that. So, yeah, I don't control it like I would love to, but if I did do that, I would be the bad guy. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like
but it's
I
one of those things like we were talking about earlier. There's that balance. I know people that like are super happy that have no money versus people that like are miserable but have a ton of money in the bank, like because they're not doing anything. It's like, what do you want to do? Your kids are having kick-ass experience.
Oh yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, no, they're living it up, and it's all balance. It's all balance to me. It's
and
like, as long as I'm comfortable, right? As long as I'm putting away money in investments every month, as long as I'm saving money, as long as I really never have to worry about money, and we're accumulating some money as we go, like. It's good.
So then I have a question about this, and you're going to have a kid, Sean, so you're going to have to like think about this. But a lot of us, our relationship with money, or the things we learn when it comes to money, has to do with how we were raised with money. So do you ever think about that? Because, like, I grew up very poor, so I think if I had a kid, I might want to spoil the crap out of this kid and give him or her everything that I didn't have. Do you ever think about that?
No. I'm more the other way, where I'm like, I survived with very little extra funds, we didn't go on vacations and stuff, and I was a perfectly happy kid, and I'm happy now. So it's like, I almost put myself in those shoes where I'm like, they'll be fine. They don't need all this shit. Like, they don't need to go do this. They don't need to go do that. But then my wife will talk me into it, and I'm like, she's the other way, where she's like that.
Yeah.
Didn't have much, but now has a little more, and so it's like, let's have them do all this, and it's like, again. Balance. I think it's probably a meeting in the middle.
Okay. So how do you guys handle exceptional expenses? So an exceptional expense is something that doesn't happen very often. So like a vacation that you guys maybe take every now and again. You guys don't have your guys' cars are paid for, but like an exceptional expense is one that you don't do on a regular basis. So it's the opposite of like food and things like that. But celebrations, you're talking, that would be like an exceptional expense. How do you guys handle that? Do you have money set aside, or do you guys just say, we'll figure it out depending on how much it is? So say there's a vacation that you guys are taking in June. Will you start saving up for it, or will you be like, hey, we'll come up with the money once June hits and it's time to start dishing out?
One of my things is I put a few $100s a month in an Acorns account with those roundups.
Oh, Jesus. I just made a video on Acorns, and it's not
no good.
I'll show you the numbers.
It's basically a savings.
It's disgusting.
If nothing
okay,
else.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll toss it in there. Yeah, I'm not making any money on it, but it's just a place to put the money. It's all conservative stuff, but that is then like my slush fund for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So money moves in and out.
But it's invested?
Yeah, it's invested lightly.
I don't know what that means.
It's in like bonds and shit.
Okay.
Like super conservative.
Okay.
It's basically it's another
Wait,
savings.
isn't that what happened to Silicon Valley? Mortgage bonds, like 10-year security.
Yeah, but this
treasury,
is
treasury bonds.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. And this is not a bank. It's just a.
I know,
but just pretend it's another bank account.
Why wouldn't you just put it in a savings? But it's not. It's an investment account.
Yeah, because it might make 2% there, and it's gonna make. And the one thing I do like about that is that roundup thing. It's an easy way to save an extra like $50 a month you're not even thinking about.
But you're putting it at risk if it's invested.
Yeah, it's invested
in the short term.
It's hyper. I think overall I've had it for 5 years. I think I've gained 2%.
Okay. What about you, Sean? Do you guys like save up for exception? So you guys did something in your backyard, right? Like that
Yeah.
You guys put like a
That
pond
was
in your
my
backyard.
idea. But no, like I said, like it's usually all kind of structured, planned expenses are all pulled out of mine, and then she makes decent money, so it's like everything we do. Like right now, we're doing the nursery because we got a new one on the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much like coming out of hers for the most part, even though I still have to help. But those sorts of projects. Otherwise, it's just like, hey, we want to do something cool. Let's earn it.
Okay.
Like that's what we got to do. Especially with us in our business, it's like, hey, we want to do something cool. Like the world is your oyster. Like earn money, go. Like make an extra $50,000 for the next few months, and we can do something crazy. Like it's almost like goal setting, just like you would for your job. Like if you're performance based, and it's like, hey, like you can earn this bonus, dangle a carrot, go do this, and all of a sudden there it is, and you can go have fun.
So you guys don't do kind of what I do. So for example, I know I'm going to spend X amount of dollars on Christmas gifts for all my nieces and nephews. So I'm like, I save up like $50 a month or something like that, $25, and I need to buy new tires probably in around like November. So I throw in like $50 a month. You guys don't do anything like that.
I don't plan
like,
ahead for that kind of stuff. No, other than that slush fund where I'm throwing $500 and then no.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I mean, I guess I would call that my emergency fund. You know,
Okay.
when shit like. But yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, never mind.
Okay.
I was gonna get too specific.
Yeah, don't get yourself in trouble or anything. Okay, so then here's a question about percentages. So do you guys know what percentage of your income goes towards housing?
It is
Housing.
tricky.
Define housing.
Housing is your mortgage, insurance, taxes, utilities, like those fixed costs.
Anything fixed.
Yeah,
So
but I
variable-
mean, utilities are a little variable, but I
so
would
if
consider
I'm
that
gonna
a
like
part
redo
of
my
housing.
kitchen and bathroom and spend 25,000 on it, it's like that's separate.
That's separate. That's separate
Okay.
because that's like an upgrade. So like for me, I spend my housing is about 15, a little less than 15, 12 to 15% of my income
Yeah.
is what it is.
It's
Do you guys have
probably
an
in that-
idea of what
it's
yours
probably in
is?
that realm for me. It's tricky to nail it down because him and I both, the way that we pay ourselves is not, it's not like you get $1,000 a week. It's not that.
Right.
There's a lot of variability to it. So to nail a percentage down, is a little tricky because 1 6-month period we could make a lot more than the next 6 months.
But by let's say by the end of the year, you know how much you made.
Yeah,
what would you
ballparking
say
it-
percentage goes
I would
towards
say
housing?
15 to 20%.
Okay.
It's not dramatic with bills probably.
But you've
20.
never actually calculated it.
Yeah, I'm no, but I know the number.
Okay. Sean, do you know? Like have a rough idea?
Whatever he said, like minus 5%, because my house is cheaper.
God,
would
so like
say-
no way, like 10%, you think?
I don't know. I didn't do the math.
Yeah,
I was just saying
yeah.
subtract. He's got a little bit.
See, then I think his number is way. I have a feeling yours is way off then.
No. I know the
Wait.
number. It'll be my mortgage $1,000 a month. So you figure that, yeah, and then electricity. I mean, I'm looking at $1,000 a month, ballpark.
That is cheap. Yeah, actually, you got to be doing your math wrong. 'Cause I think mine is like, I don't know.
But maybe you guys also just make enough money to where it's like, hey, this is going to be low, right? Because I got to the point where I was saving and investing 83% of my income.
Right.
But the reason a lot of that happened is because I made more money. Like, yeah,
Correct.
I cut back,
Yeah.
but not a whole lot. It got to a point where you just have to make more money, and then those percentages become so much
That's the
smaller.
one thing I've found is like, you're not going to save yourself to rich.
Yeah.
It's like you could sit there and be the most frugal son of a bitch ever. If you make 30 grand a year, you're going to be fucking poor.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Like, you're not going to be able to get out of that rut if you're making 30 grand a year. You're going to have to make a lot more money. Like, you can't live on that. I mean, you can, but it's not. You're not going to get rich doing
Yeah,
that. It's like you got to
making-
make more money.
It's way more easier to make more money than like cut
What
back
did you
and-
say? If like you were like, whether or not you were like gonna do an episode on this or whatever, what is the supposed number
So
that housing situation?
I
should
have a
be?
whole spreadsheet, and for example, I have people go through it, and I have them do their fixed costs. So fixed costs are going to include like your home, utilities, your car, like fixed costs. I have people try to get in between 50 to 55%. A very stretch is like 60%. I don't like to see people in the 60% range, but I like to see them in the between 50 and 55%.
Would you count groceries in that?
Groceries are fixed costs.
Yeah,
Yep.
mine goes up a lot with
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's I got 5 people.
But then that leaves you with the other 50% roughly to go towards other things. So your guiltless spending you just spend you put towards whatever, you don't really question it, which I think everybody should have a little bit of that within their year or their monthly spending. So yeah, it's 50%. I have a whole spreadsheet. I'll send it to you guys if you want.
If you were to go to, it's been a while. If you were to go to get financing today, you know how they do your income, and then are you approved for this house because the payment's going to be. Do you know what that line is where they're like, all right, you're out of reach. You're trying to get approved for XYZ, which is going to be this per month, and
I think it's a high number. I mean, when you look at what people get approved for in loans and stuff, I mean, it's a dramatic
I think it's the 28 to 30% range
of their take-home income.
I think so. I haven't looked in a minute, but
and I think that's just the house payment.
Yeah, and that's the messed up part, and where people
We're not talking taxes. We're not talking anything else.
They don't account for that and those extra costs that you have to spend. Okay, you got to do
go look
updates.
At your house,
you got to paint
go look
walls.
At your payment. I mean, your payment's a third as tax.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
And that goes up too. Taxes and insurance.
Yeah,
they go up.
Yeah.
So my payment every month is $670 with everything, but originally it was $580 or $550 or something.
Yeah, they pass some levy that you're uninvolved with, and then you got to pay more taxes because the schools do way better the more money they get. Mm-hmm. Actually, they don't. They do way worse. It's an inverse curve.
All right, so I want to talk about investing and retirement now. We're going to finish this off with this. Okay, so retirement savings. Would you guys say you were ahead, behind, or on track?
On track.
Okay.
I don't know what people's perceptions are.
But it's not other people. It's you. It's you.
Yeah.
Based on
on me.
Yeah, based on you. Forget everybody else.
Behind, because I just look at everything I don't think I'm ever going to stop working in some sense. I see myself, because it's the way inflation, who knows what it's going to look like in 40 years from now. But I'm if I had, let's just say $2 million put away for retirement right now, I'd probably still say I'm behind, which I don't. I'm not even close to that. It's just times are changing so much where it's God knows what we're actually going to need. I mean, I think I would feel better if I had a few more $100,000 put away, but then still I'd just be is that going to be enough? I have no idea what it's going to look like in 2070 if I'm still here. But no, I mean, I tried early on to put away 10%, which was tough. Because when I was hired, my first career, it was a $35,000 all in, including bonuses. So it's okay, I put away $3,500. So then it's okay, you get a raise, and you make $45,000 a year. 10%, it's only $4,500. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so to stack that. So it was okay. And then once I left there, I was making around 6 figures, and it's okay, now you're starting to actually make a dent into something that's livable. After being there for 10 years, you put away 1 year's worth of salary, having $100,000 put away. Now I haven't been good over the last 4 or 5 years. It's been more or less just an IRA fund, funding it $500 a month, but. Yeah, no way. I'm okay, how long could I live off my retirement fund right now without any income?
Yeah.
A year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So it's fuck no.
Way more you get a lot of your stuff's paid off.
Yeah,
so
the money will make money over the next 40 years. So
right.
It's man, I'm kind of scared the way what's happened over the last 2 years with just how prices have skyrocketed. It's God. And who knows? We still have a long way to go, but it's hopefully this evens out, and this is just a little spike. But it's and
so you haven't even thought about how much you need, a retirement number that you want to hit at all.
No, $5 million.
Yeah.
Okay. So
but it also, I'd be in the same boat where I'd be well, if I made more money, then I'd save more money too. So then that number would go up. I mean, enough to maintain your lifestyle.
So do you guys know what percentage of your income you save and invest?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think about? Okay, so you think about that.
Yeah. Basically, I just take it off the top. But again, our pay is somewhat variable, so that can shift. If we go do a distribution of a decent sum of money, then I'll take half of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'll just put half of it away. It's that was all gravy. That stuff I didn't have yesterday that I didn't need. Then that's going to go.
But say by the end of the year, roughly, what would it be? Hey, I saved it or I invested.
I'd say 15%.
Okay, so about 20%. Do you think about that or know what's your number?
It's always that
is
balance.
Roughly?
Because let's just say all of a sudden I fell into somebody wrote me a check for $50,000 right now. It's what would you do with it? the way the market's going, like it depends, but it's like God, a lot of times we just got done talking about it would be like make sure I have no debt. I would love to just have my house paid off, and I'm not that far. Like I could do it. Like just have a couple good years, done. Not having a house payment and being like I owe nobody fucking nothing.
Yeah,
would be like a great feeling. But it's like okay, putting that in. All right, whatever. Your $20,000 you're allowed in a 401k. I think right now it is capped still at 6. They might bump it up into an IRA, and then okay, let's put the else in the market, and like, fucking my money's been losing money. Like so, it's like
you know what's weird when you think about it. Think about like a house payment that's just say it's 5%. Interest is 8%. Like your house is technically making you money by just having debt in it. As weird as that is, $1,000 payment 5 years ago was way more money than $1,000 payment today.
Yeah.
It's like the house is the one thing where I'm like, when you start paying that house off year one, let's just say you get a 30-year mortgage, year 30 with the way that our money works, it's going to be so goddamn inflated that payment is going to feel like nothing.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I always tell people this: it's like we can go based on the math and what a spreadsheet says. But you also have to take in your psychology as well. Some people, as irrational as it sounds, they want to have a paid-for house. That way they know if anything hits the fan, they at least have a roof over their head for them and their family, too. So, like, I get it, and I'm in the same boat as you. It was like, I don't think it would make sense for me to pay it. But if I had kids and a family, I actually might think a little bit differently and be like, hey, I want to get this house paid off. Like, I understand it doesn't make sense financially or based on the numbers, but let's just get it paid off.
It's like game 2. Like to that point, like, I've always been like intrigued with the idea at least testing because like my house right now, it's not going to suffice like as we grow. Like, meaning I have my first one on the way, plan to potentially have another one like soon, but it's like okay, but step one would be like get that thing for paid off because I know right now between what the mortgage is and what I could rent it for, I could rent it for at least 2x. And it's like, all right, like that's paid off. And now I got income taxes, or let's just say $500 a month. I can charge $2,000 a month. This is $1,500 income. I know for a fact. So it's like, that's always a game thing too. But it's like, could you take out another mortgage and like have another property? Yeah, but it would be cool as hell to have that thing paid off. Just pay taxes on it. The rest of it's gravy train. Now I have this almost like use that money to pay for the new house in a sense. It'd probably be a little bit more. But that's at least my brain waves and like how I think about like, man, doing this like, shell game.
Yeah, you're stacking up like assets, right? Is essentially what it is.
Using your money towards something. You know, like you're going to work for 30, 40 years, what have you. Like my thing is like during that time, have your money go towards something that matters, that you can actually, it's tangible. You know, like people invest into horrific shit. Like just like the simplest thing you could do is just buy a house and pay it regularly. Like if you have no other clue on earth, like pay your house off. Yeah. Like just literally buy a house. Don't take out a bunch of freaking loans and equity against it.
Yeah, that always blows my mind when people do that.
It's like you don't have the money. You know what I mean? And then the housing market goes down a little bit. Now you're underwater in your freaking house. Like, what are you, stupid? But that's just people. But, you know, all right, so then let's do a 15-year mortgage and just pay it off. Just literally pay it off. In 15 years, you have an asset.
Yeah. Before I forget, Sean, the Roth IRA contribution limit, it's $6,500 a year.
They did bump it?
Yeah, it's bumped. So before I forget, I just want to mention that.
And then over 50 years old, you get an extra $100,000 or something?
No, it's 70. Yeah, it's 7,500. That jumped up too. But yeah, it's 6,500. So make sure you max that out. Okay, so next question. Couple more. Do you guys have a financial advisor, or do you guys do it like self-manage your stuff?
I did, and I got rid of them because it was no point.
Okay, Sean.
Yeah. So they're kind of like friends / but yeah, who I have my stuff through. Yeah, if I want to sit
you
down
pay them a percentage.
In a sense, we could talk about. I don't want to say their names.
Yeah,
but
don't
they're
say
like
their name.
Friends.
Okay.
So,
do you know what percentage you pay them?
No, I think it's like 1%.
Oh, God, you need to watch the video that I just released yesterday, and I break down essentially the cost of expenses when it comes to finances, from like the funds you invest in to the actual advisors, and I show you actual dollar amounts so that you can see how much an advisor is costing you when they charge you a percentage. And then I also compare it to one that it's a fee based, so they charge maybe like $275 per hour and an initial like $2,000 for a whole comprehensive plan that they put together.
Is that better option?
Yes. And it's by, you guys, I'm telling you.
By a lot?
Yes. You have to watch this video because I've gotten so much feedback, and so just for example, actually, I saved some of these numbers.
Well, particularly over time, right?
Yeah. So here's how much
I'm trying to think.
1% will cost an investor who's investing $1,000 a month. 1% will cost the investor $15,000 or $16,000 over 10 years. Over
That's a lot of
over
dough.
20 years, 1% will cost the investor $90,000.
Well, that's not taking into account how much money it is either.
Oh, I'll tell you. So
Well, no, I'm saying like $100,000 investment, 1% is obviously
yeah, so
$1,000.
so $90,000 to them after 20 years, and you have 402. But wait, it gets even grosser, because at 30 years is where it gets sick. So 1%, you're paying them $300,000, and you have $838,000. And then 40 years, 1%, you paid them $800,000, and you have $1,600 or $1.6 million left. So like it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then because in that video I also broke down like the cost per hour when you compare them. So an asset under management advisor, so like what you're paying over 40 years, their hourly rate comes out to like $1,600 versus the flat fee advisor who's $279
Yeah, that makes
per
sense.
hour. So yeah, it's a lot more, and I think that's where a lot of people get caught up is they become friends with these people. I'm not saying this person isn't a good or bad person in their personal life. I say that they're probably good people, but it's just their professional life. It's a little questionable of how much you're actually paying them compared to a fee-based advisor where you could be saving a lot more money, and they're a 100% fiduciary too, to the point where they legally have to make decisions in your best interest. That's what's good about these flat fee advisors, these fiduciaries. Not all these ones that charge a percentage based. They're not 100% fiduciaries. So that's where you gotta be very careful. But we can always talk about that offline. I can answer any questions you have. All right, but okay, investment accounts you guys have. You guys have 401ks, Roth IRAs, taxable investment accounts.
Yeah.
Not
All
the-
the above.
All of them.
I got
Okay.
all kinds of stuff,
Okay.
and then I
Wait,
got
what was
one
the
for
last
the,
one you said? I don't think I have that.
Taxable investment accounts. So that's just a non-retirement account.
Yeah. And then I also have a crypto
savings
account.
account?
And
No, that's
I have it scattered.
Not.
Yeah. I have
okay.
it
So you got
scattered.
all those accounts. Okay.
Very diversified.
Do you guys have 401ks through work, or do you guys? How do you guys
We
do that?
don't.
For your
I have one
retirement?
from my previous job, but no, we don't have one currently.
So
We'll
then, what
probably
do you
get
guys
one.
do? So every month, you only every year pretty much just contribute to your like IRA and taxable. So, damn.
We need to.
Yeah,
get
you guys
one.
need.
Yeah, there's a. We were talking about this week actually, so it's on
Yeah,
the
that's
horizon.
good. No,
Mainly for our employees. Like I can technically contribute to the former Roth IRA I had.
Oh yeah, you can get.
So
yeah,
I'm
but
contributing to that via my old setup.
because that's an additional at least 20 grand per year that you could be putting into a tax advantage account. Oh my God, yeah, you guys need to get on that. Like, see, and that's my notice as business owners. Business owners forget about that kind of stuff, investing like a lot.
Because it's not brought up.
I know,
you
when I feel bad because, they think, okay, it's just the business. This business is that's my investment. But it's like, you also need some additional.
Well, and if you, it's to me, it's like,
Anything
what can you keep away from the IRS?
Exactly.
Like
the
legitimately,
tax
like,
stuff.
all right, how do we avoid paying taxes on things? I mean, if there was one big advantage of owning a business, I swear to God, that's it.
It's a tax game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, they're not going to watch this, hopefully, but a lot of it is that.
When you
A lot of
talk
the
about the
advantage is just
actual
that.
wealthy class, they're not worried about a 401k, 20,000 or a 6,000 in an IRA. It's like,
How do I
can
hide
I
my
play the
money?
game and like how can I hide my money? Whether or not it's art or whatever. So it's like us middle class, it's like, okay, this is important for us. But the actual wealthy, if you were to have this conversation, they'd be like,
Yeah, but we just make a lot of money.
get away from me. This
Yeah.
is peanuts.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care.
They'd be like, yeah,
But
we
it's
make a
like-
lot of money and we try and not pay taxes. I mean, that's
It's all the tax game.
and that is when you have a business, like that's one of the perks. Like you're gonna go out to eat with someone in your business. Okay, that's a
You put
tax
it-
write-off.
yep.
Like that's one of the benefits. I
Yeah.
mean, it's truly like everyone out there should start an LLC and like try and sell shit.
Yeah,
and
because
just lose money.
You guys don't have car payments on your cars. Your wives are different, of course. But
yeah,
you
we have
guys-
legitimate business
Yeah.
cars,
Which
and,
is-
and that's a very legitimate expense. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
a legitimate expense. Supplies for the shop, things like that. Like these are legitimate expenses that you're able to use the business as a tool to write things off. And yeah, I think that literally every couple should start an LLC and be
And
like,
makes like at least a little bit of money doing something.
yeah, it could be selling shit from their house.
Yeah, stuff on Etsy or something.
Yeah.
but
Old
they can then
clothes
at least
or-
you
Just
can
like Ben
actually use
Affleck
it.
told that old couple in The Accountant.
Right.
It's like, wait, you make quilts? Oh, that
In your-
house you
in
live
your
in.
house? Right. Yeah, like,
It's
but
like,
legitimately, like, you can legitimately do it that way.
All right, one more question, and then I'm going to give you both a rating on how I think you guys are doing with it. All right, what do you guys invest in? Like, besides your business, like in the stock market?
Things I know, and I leave it in for a long time.
Okay, so give me an example. Like,
Tesla.
I only invest in index funds or the ETF equivalent, and I have a little bit of Bitcoin.
So,
That's literally it.
I have 3 things. Yeah, I have some Bitcoin. I have a few other crypto stock. That's kind of my play fund. I have a Acorns thing, which is essentially mutual funds and very conservative investments. Then I have a stock fund, and that is going to be specifically like in there. Tesla, lithium. I have some gold ETFs, other stocks that I'll play with that I really like and I really know. And I don't trade them much.
Okay.
It's more
Just
like
buy and hold.
Yeah, just because I don't have enough knowledge or time to sit there and what's it doing today? Like,
So
I'm
then-
not watching the market
So then
every
no,
day.
I mean, what about funds? Like index funds or actively
I've
managed
done
funds?
it. Yeah, I've done it.
Holy shit! That means you don't have much at all in those kinds of.
Not really.
Oh my god.
Not actively managed funds.
guys
I mean,
are
but the Acorns does. That has that.
Yeah.
And my 401k is that. It's in an active.
But that's what I mean. Do you know what kind of funds are in there? Like if
that?
they're
My
actively
401k
managed?
is super aggressive.
Okay.
I know that that one's in the highest risk, but
You might want to make sure it's not an actively managed funds.
I don't know if it is.
Well, if
Yeah,
it-
actually, one of them is.
it's
Yeah.
a bad idea. 'Cause not over like long periods of time, 90% of actively managed funds underperform a basic index fund. So you're better off. Yeah. And on top of that, you're paying these like high fees, which I lay out in the
Yeah,
video.
there's
that
like 2%
so
on some of them.
You
I
guys
know
need
it
to
gets
watch
high.
that video. All right. What about you? Do you?
Honestly, I don't pay attention to it. Like, I think it's very diversified based on like every month I get a statement from my folks and I'll kind of review it. It looks like it's like super diversified, but if you were to say like what percentage is where and like is it this or is it this, I'd be like, I don't know. But if you want to, I can after this little
God, yes,
meeting
please
here take a
send it to me.
screenshot of it and like
Yes.
show you.
Just send me
But
the
I mean,
funds.
it's like 7 pages each month that it shows everywhere where everything's at. So it's like, okay, I trust what you guys are doing. I just move on with my day.
Okay, I need to let me look at it. You can black out all the numbers and things like that, like dollar amounts.
Yeah.
But send. Oh my God, please let me analyze what they have you in, because, yeah, yes, please let me. Okay, rating I would give you guys. It's not good. It's like really not good. I mean, okay, spending I'll give you both. Oh my God, I'll give you guys. I'll give you guys D's.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'll give you guys
give me a
Ds.
good grade on that.
Investing, I'm gonna give you guys C minuses or D's too. It's not good.
I used to actually invest more. In the last 2 years, I've like cut a lot of my investments and just been like holding money in super duper conservative things.
You're
because-
reading the news way too much, man. You're reading the news way too much.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know. 100%.
I've just had a feeling that things are gonna go.
We
down.
all have feelings as
Yeah.
well. We all have feelings.
But no, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
It's I'm more of the mindset of buy and hold, easy. Like give me diversification, like all U.S. stocks, international, across the globe. So like my thing is just super simple, low cost. Invest it. Don't pay attention to what the market's doing, and move on with my freaking life, because you're gonna make more money, or you're gonna do better financially trying to make more money, right? Spending the time in your business as opposed to like losing out on all these fees and. Okay, I'll end it right there. Thanks for checking out this podcast. Please make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you go. If you want to watch us continue the conversation, then click on this video to your left next.